Ready for the wildest and most controversial stories from Hollywood's golden age? From misunderstood personalities to hedonistic tendencies, here are the 15 worst nymphomaniacs in old Hollywood history. Number 15. Lana Turner. You already know that Lana Turner was a renowned Hollywood actress, particularly for her glamorous image and tumultuous personal life. As a Hollywood icon, her life mirrored the glamour and allure of her roles in film. She had the looks and aura that made for a movie star. As such, she captivated audiences in the 1940s and 1950s. But considering she made this list, then you know her story extends beyond glamorous poses and cinematic lights. Her tumultuous relationships and sensational headlines were said to shake even the most seasoned gossip columnist. The thing is, you really can't talk about her off-screen persona without mention of her high-profile relationships and marriages. Turner was married 8 times to 7 different men, including bandleader Artie Shaw, actor Lex Barker, and restaurateur Steve Crane, whom she married twice. Notably, she also had several well-publicized affairs with prominent figures in Hollywood and beyond. Notably, as short-lived and volatile as her relationships often were, they were said to be marked by an insatiable desire for physical intimacy that shadowed her career. Her relationships often made headlines, and one particular scandal was the one involving the death of her lover, Johnny Stompanato. What was so sensational about it is that he was a man with alleged ties to the mafia, and it was her daughter, Cheryl Crane, who killed him. This was an act that Turner and her daughter claimed was done in self-defense. Many now think it was all a constant search for stability. We mean, it is likely that Turner's numerous marriages and relationships are more a reflection of the search for stability and emotional fulfillment rather than an addiction to sex. Then, of course, the pressures of Hollywood, along with her own personal struggles, it could very well have influenced her relationship choices. Another factor would be the societal norms at the time. Everything, particularly regarding female sexuality, was more conservative, and women with multiple relationships were often judged harshly. Turner's behavior may have been more about navigating the complexities of her personal and professional life in a highly publicized and judgmental environment. One of her co-stars, Frank Sinatra, reportedly commented on her obsessive fixation on sex. Additional rumors like multiple abortions, allegedly concealed by her business manager, Benton Cole, have persisted over the years. Number 14. Errol Flynn. This legendary Hollywood actor of the 1930s and 1940s was just as renowned for his swashbuckling roles as he was for his hedonistic personal life. While his reputation as a nymphomaniac has been exaggerated by gossip and myth, it has notably stemmed from documented accounts of his insatiable sexual appetite and a lifestyle that epitomized the excesses of old Hollywood. Flynn was notorious for his numerous affairs with women. Even worse, many of these women were much younger than him. It would not be wrong to say that his charm, good looks, and star power made him irresistible to many. He certainly took advantage of it by frequently engaging in relationships both on and off the set. His activities became such a phenomenon that it birthed the phrase, "in like Flynn." This expression was inspired by Flynn's escapades, always alluding to his perceived ease in seducing women. While its origin is debated, it highlights his association with sexual prowess in the eyes of the public. Flynn's reputation was also solidified during the highly publicized 1942 trial for statutory rape. Yes, at some point Flynn was accused of sexually assaulting 2 underage girls. While he was acquitted, the trial more than exposed his hedonistic lifestyle and cemented his image as a man who lived on the edge of societal norms. So, it wasn't just a case of mere rumors and gossip. In his autobiography titled My Wicked, Wicked Ways, Flynn himself admitted to a hedonistic lifestyle filled with indulgence in adult activities, alcohol, and other vices. His candidness about his exploits has since fueled his legendary status as a figure of scandal and excess. During Hollywood's golden age, stars often lived extravagance and debauchery lives while also being protected by studio systems that shielded them from public scrutiny. So, Flynn's behavior, while extreme, was not entirely unusual for the time. His sexual exploits were often glamorized and romanticized in ways that might not have been afforded to a female star of his era. As you will see, it reflected the double standards of the time. Number 13. Zsa Zsa Gabor. She might not be as popular as most names on this list, but Zsa Zsa Gabor is reportedly a notable mention. The Hungarian socialite became a Hollywood legend as she was known for her glamorous life, memorable one-liners, and, quite frankly, her 9 husbands. It goes without saying that Zsa Zsa possessed undeniable beauty and an even more captivating personality. She began her career on the stage in Europe, then quickly gained recognition for her dramatic flair and sense of humor. Zsa Zsa's striking good looks secured her roles in films like Lovely to Look At, as well as Moulin Rouge. Despite her film roles, her acting career was never the reason she stood out. People loved her off-screen personality more. To make her even more sensational, she developed the habit of changing her partners frequently. In fact, it was said that she treated relationships like wardrobe changes. Among her 9 husbands were hotel magnate Conrad Hilton, actor George Sanders, designer Jack Ryan, attorney Michael O'Hara, and socialite Frederick Prinz von Anhalt. Beyond these 9 marriages, rumors suggest that Gabor had numerous affairs. Even worse, these affairs often involved other people's husbands. All these are reasons why she made this list. There is no denying that her 9 marriages are notably high, even by Hollywood standards. The frequent changing of partners certainly cemented the possibility of compulsive behavior regarding relationships. Then there's her public persona. By cultivating an image of being a glamorous and flirtatious socialite, she also reinforced the perception that she had an insatiable appetite for romance. Let's consider one of her famous quotes. "I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house." We mean, it's easy to see how she earned her reputation. Number 12. Hedy Lamarr. Austrian-born actress and inventor Hedy Lamarr is often remembered as one of Hollywood's most beautiful and enigmatic stars of the Golden Age. Wondering why she made this list? Well, Lamarr's sexual persona was a key part of her image, particularly through her controversial early films. While Nymphomaniac may be a bit of a stretch, we fear this was how the public saw her back then. Notably, this label was more a reflection of societal attitudes towards women as opposed to her own actions off-screen. Her complex personal relationships and the aura of sensuality surrounding her were the source of controversy. The label nymphomaniac was often applied more readily to women in Hollywood who defied societal expectations of modesty or traditional female roles. Lamarr's beauty, independence, and multiple relationships may have made her an easy target for such characterizations. Old Hollywood thrived on creating myths and scandals around its stars. Sadly, Lamarr's enigmatic personality and sexualized image were amplified by a studio system and media that was hungry for intrigue. So where exactly did this sexual reputation come from? It began with one of her earliest films. You see, Lamarr gained notoriety early in her career for her role in Ecstasy. This 1933 European film featured one of cinema's first on-screen depictions of the female orgasm. Albeit simulated, there was partial nudity in some parts of the film. You can see how her role in this would cement her image as a sexually liberated figure. Just like that, she became a subject of fascination and scandal. It also didn't help that Lamarr was married 6 times, which, in the context of her era, contributed to perceptions of her as a woman with an unconventional approach to relationships and maybe even a large appetite for intimacy. What if it was a complex and restless search for companionship, stability, or fulfillment rather than compulsive sexual behavior? Hollywood did not care though. Lamarr was ultimately typecast as the exotic and unattainable beauty with roles that emphasized her sensuality. This public persona may have blurred the line between her on-screen image and her personal life. Like many stars of her time, Lamarr was the subject of gossip about alleged affairs including rumored liaisons with figures like Howard Hughes.
Oh. I thought you were someone else.
Number 11. Diana Dors. Diana Dors wasn't the average British actress. She was the ultimate sex symbol who often found herself at the center of rumors and controversies. These claims, including allegations of being a sex addict, were part of the larger sensationalism that followed her career and personal life. Dors started her career in the late 1940s. By the 50s and 60s, she had taken Hollywood by storm. Unsurprisingly, her looks and charm quickly earned her the moniker as the British Marilyn Monroe. She took on roles that often capitalized on her glamorous and voluptuous image. As such, she got herself typecast and designated for sex symbol roles. But as you can see, her on-screen persona may not have required much acting on her part. In her autobiographies, Dors described a life filled with numerous sexual encounters, swinging parties, and a hedonistic lifestyle. But behind the dazzling smile and glamorous facade, Dors battled a complex personal life filled with tumultuous relationships behind the scenes. Dors had 3 marriages, the most notable being to actor Richard Dawson and businessman Alan Lake. In truth, she was open about her affairs and sexual exploits in her autobiographies, which fed into the public's fascination and the rumors of her being a sex addict. While her career flourished, her relationships were often tumultuous. Could this intense focus on seeking pleasure and validation through intimacy be a result of that relationship trauma? True or not, this is what a lot of people chose to believe. Of course, we can't forget about the notoriously hedonistic parties she held at Berkshire Mansion. These parties were always packed with celebrities, and if the rumors are to be believed, then these parties were as wild as they come. There were drugs, alcohol, and everything needed for a risque night. Pornographic films were also said to be playing softly in the background. To be fair, society had a more conservative view of sexuality at the time, so when starlets like Dors were so open about sex, it seemed much more controversial and set the tone for the label of sex addict.
Time, I'm gonna finish. That night in the hotel room, Skipper and I
I don't want to hear about it.
Why won't you face the truth just once about...
Number 10. Elizabeth Taylor. No doubt one of the most iconic actresses of old Hollywood, Taylor earned a reputation as a sexually charged and passionate figure. To earn this spot on the list, Taylor has her tumultuous romantic life and societal attitudes towards women in her era to thank for it. Right from the start, there has always been a cultural fascination with her beauty and relationships. Elizabeth Taylor married 8 times to 7 different men, including high-profile figures like Eddie Fisher, whom she famously stole, in the quotes, from actress Debbie Reynolds. There was also Richard Burton, whom she married twice. Her serial marriages in such a conservative era led her to being perceived as having an insatiable appetite for romantic and sexual relationships. Her marriages were public spectacles, often accompanied by scandals. Together, they reinforced the idea of her as a woman ruled by desire. The Eddie Fisher affair added to her notoriety, as she was labeled a homewrecker by the media. For all the trouble it caused, that marriage did not even last 5 years, as she moved on to Burton. Her relationship with Richard Burton, that began as an affair during the filming of Cleopatra when both were married to other people, was also received in bad taste. Their torrid, public love affair captivated the press and contributed to her image as a woman who followed her passions without regard for societal norms. Did any of these scandals hinder her career? Absolutely not. Taylor's beauty and roles in films like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Cleopatra emphasized her as a symbol of sexual allure. She was often portrayed as a femme fatale, both in cinema and the tabloids. Remember, the tabloids of the time thrived on scandal, and unfortunately, Taylor's life provided ample fodder. Over time, all these factors fed the myth of her being a sexually dominant woman. Number 9. William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst was a newspaper magnate who built a media empire on the most sensational headlines. We imagine that when his father handed him the reins of a struggling newspaper, neither of them ever imagined the future to come. Hearst did away with the dry news and boring editorials Instead, he favored exciting and controversial pieces. By doing so, he pioneered a new style, which became known as yellow journalism. From sensational stories to very exaggerated accounts of events, Hearst's unethical approach proved very successful. He became a media mogul with a vast chain of newspapers and magazines. With so much money to his name, he even dabbled in early Hollywood ventures. However, his personal life was marked by one too many high-profile relationships and extramarital affairs. Now, you already know this is the type of business that fuels speculation and rumors about overactive sexual behavior, beginning with his long-term affair with actress Marion Davies. This relationship was a well-documented affair that went on even while he was married to Millicent Wilson. He showered Davies with gifts, built her a luxurious mansion, and even started a film studio to promote her career. Try as they might to keep things on the low, the relationship was widely known in Hollywood and often termed the worst-kept secret in the industry. This brings us to the infamous Hearst Castle. Hearst reportedly relegated his opulent residence as a site for his extramarital activities. There were so many lavish parties and luxurious events held at the castle, and it only added to his reputation for indulgence and excess. Even way before this time, reports suggest that Hearst was known for his wild parties while at Harvard, a lifestyle he maintained until his expulsion. This early behavior may, at the very least, hint at a pattern of extravagant and hedonistic tendencies. Lastly, it is possible that the sensational nature of his newspapers closely mirrored the sensationalism surrounding his own life. Together, these factors all contributed to the rumors and speculation about his sexual behavior.
Was it you who kissed me?
You're talking. You're alive.
Well, of course I'm alive. What did you think I was?
Number 9. Ava Gardner. You might know Ava Gardner as one of the most beautiful and enigmatic stars of old Hollywood, but did you know that she also earned a reputation as a tempestuous, passionate woman whose personal life was as dramatic as her films? Back then, the media had this fascination with her private life, and Gardner made sure to give them a show. She was romantically linked to numerous famous men, including Frank Sinatra, Howard Hughes, Artie Shaw, Mickey Rooney, and several others. Looking in from the outside, her relationships came off as passionate, volatile, and highly publicized. Going by the standards of the time fueled the perception of her as a woman with an excessive appetite for love and sex. Her relationship with Frank Sinatra was particularly scandalous. The stories passed down confirmed that their relationship and subsequent marriage were marked by intense passion and infidelity on both sides. As you would expect, the drama of their romance captivated the tabloids. Gardner exudes sensuality both on and off screen, and she did little to hide her enjoyment of life's pleasures. This unapologetic attitude was rare for women of her era, so it led to her being labeled as overly sexual or wild. Her candid remarks about her love life contributed to the controversy. For instance, Gardner reportedly once joked about her marriage to Mickey Rooney, saying, "He may have been short, but he sure was something in the sack." Ava Gardner lived a life of indulgence, embracing alcohol, nightlife, and passionate relationships. Her love of freedom and refusal to conform to societal expectations of modesty or propriety often led to her being sensationalized as a man-eater or sex addict. The tabloids were relentless in portraying her as a femme fatale, and her tumultuous love life made her a recurring subject of scandal. Gardner's exotic beauty and fiery personality were perfect fodder for such myth-making. You can't also rule out the studio system of old Hollywood and how it crafted personas for stars. It could be that all of this was Hollywood amplifying real, or better yet, fabricated traits to sell film and intrigue audiences.
Been told that it's dangerous to drive alone through all that riffraff?
Don't worry about me. I can shoot straight. I don't have to shoot too far.
Number 7. Vivien Leigh. Best known for her roles in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, Vivien Leigh was a complex and enigmatic figure whose personal life was plagued by rumors of being hypersexual. Leigh's tumultuous marriage to Laurence Olivier, one of the most famous actors of the time, was marked by intense love and public scrutiny. Their passionate but often stormy relationship added to the perception of Leigh as a woman driven by intense desires. After their marriage began to deteriorate in the 1950s, Lee reportedly engaged in several affairs. These relationships were sometimes interpreted as signs of a compulsive need for intimacy, but they could just have easily been attempts to find solace during a period of emotional instability. Accounts from contemporaries, biographers, and even Lee's closest friends sometimes perpetuated the idea of her being hypersexual. Olivier himself reportedly commented on Lee's sexual behavior during her manic episodes, which further fueled rumors. This story runs deeper than that, though. It's not just about passionate relationships and societal tendencies to sensationalize the lives of prominent women. You will find that Lee's life was more a reflection of her mental health struggles. You see, Lee suffered from bipolar disorder, a condition that was poorly understood during her lifetime. In the manic phases of bipolar disorder, hypersexuality can sometimes occur as a symptom. Her unpredictable behavior, including extramarital affairs and flirtations, may have been fueled by this aspect of her condition. Her mood swings and impulsive actions were often mischaracterized as moral failings or evidence of uncontrollable desire. Another answer presents itself: it all could have been symptoms of a medical condition. Interestingly, her role as Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire has since blurred the line between her public persona and her personal struggles. One could say that Blanche's descent into madness and vulnerability to sexual exploitation mirrored elements of Lee's life. But of course, old Hollywood and mid-20th century society had a tendency to label women who defied traditional norms of behavior or openly embraced their sexuality as nymphomaniacs. With her beauty, charisma, and unpredictable behavior, Lee became an easy target for such speculation.
Know anything about anything. You don't know how to get a meal, you don't know how to keep a secret, and you can't even stay out of town.
Thanks.
I know 50 times as much about trouble as you ever will. Besides, you owe it to me.
Number 6. Veronica Lake. Who can forget the sultry looks and charming voice of the iconic Veronica Lake? From her signature peekaboo hairstyle to her femme fatale roles in film noir classics, Lake was a big star in the 1940s. Sadly, her life was shaped by a series of personal struggles, professional challenges, and of course, the hardships of living under the intense scrutiny of Hollywood. Lake was frequently cast in roles that emphasized her sensual allure. Films like This Gun for Hire, The Glass Key, and The Blue Dahlia showcased her as a seductive, mysterious figure who often used her beauty to manipulate or outwit men. Like many stars of the era, Lake's public image was carefully managed by the studio system. In her case, they emphasized her sexual allure to sell tickets. Her petite stature, striking good looks, and sultry voice made her a perfect fit for the femme fatale archetype. But as you know, this archetype relied heavily on projecting hypersexuality. In truth, her on-screen characters may have embodied this sexuality, but Lake's personal life often contrasted with this image. But it was an image she could not escape. Like many women in old Hollywood, Lake was expected to embody a glamorous, hypersexualized image that catered to male audiences. As such, her roles and publicity photos reinforced these ideals.
Am I supposed to give you a divorce?
I'd like you to.
You think I'm going to?
Number 5. Richard Burton. Born Richard Walter Jenkins Jr., Richard Burton lived quite a dramatic life. With his powerful voice and intense looks, Burton was born to dominate the stage and screen. Lucky for him, that is exactly what he did. By tackling iconic roles like Hamlet and Henry VIII, he solidified his position as one of the most acclaimed actors of his generation. However, Burton's life wasn't just about his professional achievements. It was filled with passion both on and off screen. As the story goes, he has a penchant for falling deeply in love not just with his characters, but also with his co-stars. Even Elizabeth Taylor was not immune to his charm. Burton was married 5 times, most notably twice to Elizabeth Taylor. Rumors constantly circulated about his personal life, and there were always whispers of him exploring his sexuality beyond heterosexual relationships. Yes, there were stories about him attempting to seduce a male co-star and speculation about same-sex encounters. The most recurring theme in Burton's private life was his intense and, as many would say, compulsive desire for intimacy. He admitted to having numerous affairs throughout his marriages, with some reports claiming he averaged 3 women a week at one point. So does this earn him a spot on this list? People think Richard Burton was a sex addict due to various factors that emerged from his personal life and public persona. Most obvious reason is multiple marriages and affairs. He was married 5 times, but still admitted to having numerous affairs throughout his marriages. Naturally, the frequency and intensity of these relationships fueled speculation about his compulsive behavior. Which brings us to his public admissions. Burton himself acknowledged his numerous infidelities and intense desire for intimacy. So this was bound to contribute to the perception of his addiction. Then, of course, the rumors and speculation, as well as the media's fascination with his turbulent personal life. The fact that relationships were so highly publicized kept the narrative of this supposed addiction in the public eye. These factors combined helped create and perpetuate the perception that Richard Burton struggled with sex addiction. If you made it this far, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from us.
Are you decent?
Me?
Number 4. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was often called the Love Goddess. By that moniker, you can already imagine the nature of her reputation. As one of old Hollywood's most glamorous and sensual stars, her image as a hypersexual icon was largely crafted by the studio system. Top that off with the societal obsession with her beauty and femininity, as well as her widely publicized personal life, Rita Hayworth got herself a spot on this list. Born Margarita Carmen Cancino, Hayworth was transformed into Rita Hayworth by the studios. Lore has it that they altered her appearance to fit the idealized beauty standards of the time. Her hairline was painfully altered through electrolysis, and her hair was dyed red to distance her from her Hispanic heritage and present her as the quintessential American sex symbol. In time, the hypersexualized image that would define her career was built. The studio marketed her as an exotic yet accessible fantasy figure for male audiences. Her roles often emphasized her sensuality and allure. A classic example would be her role in the 1946 classic Gilda. Her striptease-style performance of Put the Blame on Mame cemented her as one of the most iconic femme fatales in cinema. Her characters were often portrayed as sexually confident, mysterious, and unattainable, altogether reinforcing her image as a hypersexual figure, and it looks like the men trooped in. Hayworth herself once remarked, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me." Hayworth was married 5 times, including high-profile unions with Orson Welles and Prince Ali Khan. Her relationships were often tumultuous, marked by infidelity, emotional incompatibility, and personal unhappiness. Her marriage to Prince Ali Khan, in particular, solidified her image as an international sex symbol. Hayworth often found herself objectified and controlled by the men in her life, both personally and professionally. Her husbands, including Welles and Khan, and the studio executives who managed her career, contributed to the hypersexualized image that defined her public persona.
I should imagine that few things would give you greater pleasure. And what about the gallant commander? You were about to give me a piece.
Number 3. Tallulah Bankhead. If anyone had a reputation that was as flamboyant as her talent, it would be Tallulah Bankhead. Standing tall as a legendary figure of old Hollywood and Broadway, her razor-sharp wit, uninhibited personality, and distinctive voice made her a star. Unlike many women on this list, Bankhead was one to have open discussions about her sexuality. No doubt a rarity for women in her era, she was famously candid about her sexual exploits. She openly discussed her bisexuality and was known to have relationships with both men and women. This included rumored liaisons with notable figures like Greta Garbo, Marlene Dietrich, and Billie Holiday. In a time when such topics were taboo, her openness shocked and fascinated the public. Bankhead's wit often veered into scandalous territory. She famously quipped, "My father warned me about men and alcohol, but he never mentioned a word about women and cocaine." Bold statements like that cemented her image as a hedonist who reveled in excess. She was also known for her wild parties, heavy drinking, and drug use. This reputation was not confined to Hollywood. Her antics made its way to Broadway and whatever social circle she found herself in. Bankhead's lifestyle made her a frequent subject of tabloid gossip. Her relationships, rumored affairs, and bold behavior kept her in the public eye. While some would argue that it overshadowed her considerable talent as an actress, Bankhead didn't seem to mind. She was determined to live life on her own terms. So yes, her hypersexual image was controversial, but it also made her a symbol of defiance against societal expectations for women in the conservative early to mid-20th century. For many, she represented and still represents freedom and self-expression. Despite her personal scandals, Bankhead was a respected actress. She earned acclaim for performances in The Little Foxes and Alfred Hitchcock's Lifeboat. Number 2. Clara Bow. Before retiring at the age of 28, Clara Gordon Bow was an American actress who rose to fame in the silent film era of Hollywood. As a young girl growing up under less than ideal circumstances, she always believed that she could make it on the screen. But would you believe her schizophrenic mother tried to slit her throat the day she spoke of becoming an actress? Despite the lack of support, Bow chased her dreams. She won a photo beauty contest that launched her movie career. This career would eventually number 58 films from 1922 to 1933. From that time, it is clear that Bow did not spend a lot of time in the spotlight, and there was a valid reason for this. As you are about to see, she had a career filled with scandals. Fondly known as the Hollywood It Girl, Clara Bow might not have had it easy. For one, she was a star at a time when the climate was pretty much conservative. But of course, Bow wasn't the It Girl for nothing. Clara Bow was continuously engulfed in the most scandalous of rumors. She was a constant fixture on tabloids with the most salacious headlines and speculations about her. The rumors began when Bow had a falling out with her secretary, Daisy DeVoe. When DeVoe resigned, she apparently departed with numerous files containing Bow's personal information. As the story goes, she had been so involved with Bow's affairs that she possessed secrets capable of tarnishing Bow's reputation. When DeVoe reportedly resorted to blackmail, Bow was forced to take legal action against her former secretary. However, the courtroom battle backfired spectacularly, and all the secrets she had been fighting hard to bury were eventually exposed. These secrets fueled so many sensational headlines in the tabloids. Speculation swirled that Bow engaged in promiscuous behavior. She is said to have participated in orgies with an entire football team and engaged in affairs with married men. DeVoe also accused Bow of constant drunkenness and numerous affairs. Truth is, these were all very nasty acts for the time, and while these rumors remain unsubstantiated, they sure made its run as a hot topic. To be fair, many of the scandals that surrounded her might have been related to her romantic life and old-fashioned views on love. Bow believed in romanticism and often expected too much of the men in her life. Unfortunately, this led to a series of quick relationships, some of whom were well-known figures in Hollywood. From actor Gary Cooper to director Victor Fleming, the list went on. Number 1. Charlie Chaplin. Chaplin's personal life, particularly his relationships with women, has been the subject of much scrutiny and speculation. But by the time we are done, you will see why he has often been considered as one to make this list. Let's begin with his relationships and marriages. Throughout his life, Chaplin is estimated to have been involved with around 2,000 women. Out of that, he got married to 4 of his conquests. His very first bride was a young starlet called Mildred Harris, and she was only 16 years old. Looking back at it, wouldn't you say that it is highly questionable how she was able to make her way into one of his infamous parties? You see, Chaplin had a pattern of relationships with significantly younger women, which was controversial and raised questions about his behavior. His second wife, Leda Gray, was only 16 when they met. During his divorce from Leda Gray, she alleged that there was infidelity and sexual exploitation in the marriage. But it gets even more sinister than that. He met Lily back when she was 12 years old. She had a minor role in his 1924 film The Gold Rush. Even though she was so young, Chaplin admired her and even commissioned a portrait of her at some point. Thankfully, he held off on pursuing her until she was, let's just say, a more appropriate age of 16. Despite having 2 children together, their marriage ended in 1927. This came amidst countless extramarital affairs. These accusations only fueled the circulating rumors and no doubt contributed to his controversial reputation. Wondering what this reputation was? There were claims that Chaplin used his position to engage in sexual relations with women auditioning for his films. That said, this earned him the reputation as one of the first set of people to develop the casting couch technique. Besides harboring perverted sexual desires, there were also rumors that Chaplin hosted sex parties and organized elite orgies. This behavior, if true, suggests a potential abuse of power for sexual gain, while also indicating a pattern of seeking romantic and sexual conquests. All of these allegations paint a picture of a man who was quite different from the innocent and lovable comic character that we all know. Biographers and historians offer varying interpretations of Chaplin's behavior. While many suggest he was simply a man with a strong sexual appetite, others hint at an addiction with deeper psychological issues. Whatever the case may be, Chaplin's personal life was marred by allegations of mistreatment and exploitation of women. Which of these cases shocked you more? Do share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. You also can't miss the next video on the screen.